The headlines this hour. Talks are breaking down over that a deal was overwhelmingly unlikely. That could be because the EU wants Northern Ireland to stay in the customs union, something the British leader vehemently rejects. All these coming just ahead of the EU summit beginning on the 17th. Well, let's get more from the EU side. Mia Alberti joins us live from Brussels. Mia, we've heard about Chancellor Merkel's call. We've seen Mr. Tusk tweet. Is there now consensus within the EU that a deal is unlikely by the end of the month?
Well, I think the week started in a very positive note. There was meetings from both sides of the aisles, and Brexit negotiators from both sides were traveling across the continent to hold talks with several European unions, but that seems to be falling apart. And I still think that the EU is hoping and pushing to get a deal, but we are seeing some countries showing some signs of frustration, like we saw with Donald Tusk's tweet. And Ireland, for example, they released their budget for 2020 today, and they said that that budget is prepared for a no-deal scenario. So although the perspective is still very positive, some countries are beginning to prepare for the impact of a no-deal Brexit. But the official line from the EU is that the institution will continue to push for a deal no matter what.
From our side, what I can reiterate is that the EU position has not changed. We want a deal. We are working for a deal with the United Kingdom, and under no circumstances will we accept that the EU wants to do harm to the Good Friday Agreement. The purpose of our work is to protect it in all its dimensions and at all times.
So, Mia, beyond the rhetoric, tell us what is actually going to happen.
Behind me, Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was just about to ask, beyond the rhetoric, tell us what is actually going to happen in the coming days. Are there still meetings planned?
Well, in the coming days and in the coming hours, I was about to tell you, behind me in the EU Commission, David Frost, the UK's Brexit negotiator, has been meeting with the EU officials for the past 5 hours. So even today, we will still see developments in these negotiations. And although we are seeing this whole playing out on Twitter, in real life, it's clear that negotiations are still very real. In the next few days, tomorrow, we are going to see a European Parliament plenary where they're going to talk about the preparation for that EU Council on the 17th and 18th. They will talk about Brexit. We also know that David Frost will continue to meet with EU officials, and we also know that the UK's Brexit Secretary Steve Barclay is on an European capital tour. He's in Malta today, and he has met with the Dutch Prime Minister yesterday. So of course, meetings will continue, and it seems that in real life, outside of Twitter, outside of these online statements, negotiations continue, and it appears that both sides are still working to reach a deal.
So do you think there is still hope for some sort of compromise during the EU summit?
I think the EU wants to have an answer before the EU summit. Of course, it has billions of people in the EU who are still waiting for an answer about what will happen to their project, to the European Union, which they are part of. So I think when French President Emmanuel Macron on Sunday actually talked with Boris Johnson and said that the EU wants a deal, or the perspective of a deal, by the end of this week on Friday, I think that's exactly because of that. They want to have an answer on the EU Council summit for their constituents. So I think, although the EU will not move forward into an attitude of not having more talks or not continue negotiating, because I think that's in the EU's best interest, and they say it themselves that they want to negotiate for a fair deal. Ireland is a big interest in this whole case. They want to secure a deal. Their whole customs industry is on the line here. So I think even if the Friday deadline set by Macron passes and there is no deal, I still think the EU will continue to work for a deal.
Well, all eyes certainly will be on that summit happening on the 17th. Thanks, Mia, for that update. Speaking with Mia Alberti, live from Brussels. Meanwhile, there's been more finger-pointing in the UK, with the opposition Labour Party saying British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is trying to apportion blame ahead of a no-deal Brexit. His Brexit spokesperson called out the British leader for yet another cynical attempt to sabotage negotiations.